So we are back in the shop. We're getting ready to hook up some dust collection, but the bandsaw that we have is not on a portable base. So we have bought these BORA portamate kits. Now you can pretty much make this any size you want. It's just going to depend on the tool you're using, and you just cut your plywood to fit that tool. And these casters just bolt to the corners of that. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to put it together. We're going to put it on the bandsaw, and we're going to see how good these base kits work. Alright y'all, so I picked these up from eBay. They cost somewhere around $50. I think they're available at Home Depot. They're also available at Amazon. Good thing about this, you can make the base using these any size you want to, depending on the tool you're actually using. You just cut your plywood to suit that tool. Another thing is the casters. It's got the lockout here on it that's got the swivel wheels. You can mount these facing towards the end, or you can mount them on that end facing out, depending on the situation that you're dealing with your tool and how it has to fit up next to the wall or the space you're in. The levers, one thing that I like about those, you can actually work those real easy with your feet as far as locking and unlocking them. So I kind of like that. It says it is a max capacity of 400 pounds and my bandsaw weighs 191. We got our swivel casters, 2 pieces of metal that's going to be on that same end that actually locks. That's what you're going to use with your feet to lock and unlock them. Got the 2 wheels that's going to be at the opposite end. Those will be fixed wheels. 2 more plates. These plates is what your swivel casters is going to be mounted to. Then we got 4 of these plates. Now these plates will go on top of your plywood. Your plywood will fit in this corner piece, and this will go on top of that plywood, and your bolt will go through that. Then on the end that gets the swivel casters, this is the corner bracket. 2 of those. Bag that has our nuts and bolts, and also our instructions. Every time in the instructions they got exploded view, just in case you have to order a part or there's a missing part. You can actually call the company and tell them exactly what part it is, and they can ship it to you. And there is a coupon for a spring clamp. Alright y'all, we have got everything laid out on the workbench, and we're going to take the hardware out of the bag and go ahead and put these together. Shouldn't take but just a few minutes. One of the things about this, it seems like it is pretty heavy duty metal that they are made out of. So that should hold up pretty good. The casters, I don't know if I've already said, they are a 3-inch caster. That should be a pretty good size for the tools we are using those on. So anyhow, we're gonna go ahead and get this hardware out and put these together. So the only wrenches that we're gonna need to put these together is a 13mm, a 10mm. I'm using a ratcheting wrench. Those are pretty handy. You can use a regular wrench, or you can even use a socket if you want to. We got these 2 leveling feet. They're going to go on the front with the swivel casters, and each one of those is going to have a nut to help adjust those. And we also got 2 small plastic spacers. Those will go on the wheels in the rear, and the 4 larger spacers is going to go on the end with the swivel casters. Alright, so in this bag we have got 4 bolts, and these are going to be used to help put the locking lever on the swivel casters. I believe these 2 bolts and nuts is for the rear. We have the bolts that's going to hold the corner brackets to the plywood. Now if you're using 3/4 inch plywood, they have 12 bolts. And if you are using something that's a little bit smaller, like we're going to be using 5/8, then they also send a set of 12 for those also. You got 2 bolts that's going to hold the casters on. You also have 4 bolts and nuts. Now these are going to hold the locking levers on the front. And that's pretty much it for the hardware that's coming in this. We're going to go ahead and drill the holes in the plywood and mount these to it. To lay out the holes for these corners, we're just going to put the bracket up there as if we was bolting it in, and we're just going to trace these holes out from the bracket onto the plywood. and then we're going to use a 1/2-inch bit to drill those holes out. So we have got all the holes in the plywood drill. I think what I'm going to do is set this aside. We're going to go ahead and install the wheels and the locking mechanism on the corner brackets, and then we'll install it on the plywood. Alright, so the easiest way I have found to do this is take your bolt, put it in that hole, and then put one of your plastic spacers on it, put your wheel on it, and then put your bolt in just enough that you can take your needle nose pliers and put the other spacer in, and then push it on through the hole. And then take your bolt, screw it on, take your 10mm wrench or socket, whichever one you have, and put it on the nut, and then just take your screwdriver, tighten it on down. Alright, so that's going to be it for the end that's got the fixed wheels on it. And now we'll go ahead and we'll put the other end together. Alright y'all, so to get started on the other end, we're going to put the jam nut on the leveling pad. And we're going to go ahead and fasten it to the corner bracket. Now the final adjustments we'll make that once we get this up under the bandsaw and see where they need to be. We're going to go ahead and put that on the bracket. Then we're going to set the bracket to the side, and we'll go ahead and take our swivel caster and put it on the swivel bracket, and we're going to go ahead and put the nut on it. Now I think I forgot to say this at the beginning, but another tool you're going to need is a 14mm, and that's to tighten this nut up. And then when we get that one done, we can go ahead and mount this to the corner bracket. We're going to basically just take a bolt, and you're going to take this bolt and put it in the end where the square holes are, and then line the holes up on the plate up with the corner bracket, put that in, and tighten that up with a 13mm. Alright, now we're going to put the locking lever on. This is where the little plastic spacers is going to come in. So take the other bolt, stick it in that side, take a plastic spacer, put it on the bolt, and then put the lever on. Alright, then you're going to take your needle nose pliers and line that spacer up on the other side of that, and that should go on through there pretty easy. Put that bolt on and tighten it down. And that's pretty much it. And that's basically how it works. You mash the lever down and it lifts that end up. So the last thing we got to do is put the base kit on the plywood. We're going to be using a regular drill with a Phillips bit in it. Shouldn't take but just a few minutes. Then we're going to see if we can get this thing up under that bandsaw. It weighing 190 pounds. It might be a little bit interesting. Alright y'all, so we got all four corners put on, and all you have to do is lift up on it and it sets the base down on the floor, and then all you do is push down on the levers and it lifts it up so you can move whatever tool you got on it around. One thing is, when you are putting these corner bolts in, if you put them in with a drill like I did, Just be careful because there is paint inside them threads on that bottom piece, so you might want to take it kind of easy until you get that started. Other than that, it went together pretty good. So now all we got to do is try to get this thing up under the bandsaw. Alright y'all, so to try to make this a little bit easier, I put a couple 1x across the back side of it to lift that up. Not sure if that's going to help, but I think that will help a little bit better than if it was just sitting straight on the floor. We have got the base up under the bandsaw. I think putting those 1x's towards the back side of the bandsaw, trying to get that up under there, helped out a lot. You can see there is a little bit of flexing going on when you try to rock the bandsaw. The bandsaw has some leveling feet up under it too. We might can get a little bit of that out of there with those. But I think this 5/8 plywood is not quite thick enough for this bandsaw. It weighs almost 200 pounds. So I think when I come across some 3/4 inch plywood, I'll be replacing that. It just takes just a few minutes to do it. So anyhow, overall, I'm pretty happy with the kit, and seems like it's built really well. So anyhow, that'll let me move this bandsaw around when I need to. It'll also let me move it out of the way while we get this dust collection put in. If y'all enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel already, don't forget to do that, and I'll see you on the next one.